It's time for Bluster and Blue Jay again, and well, today I'm going to try and do this without my glasses. So let's see how that works, shall we? I'm just tired of seeing that ring light in my eyes constantly. It's a little bit of annoying. Let's adjust this mic here, get myself all ready. It's over. Spring training. It's over. The new season has started, and we went 2-2 against what is considered one of the contenders in the American League. I'm a little hesitant to call them that myself, but they have a good hitting team, and they definitely, for a couple games, they hit the crap out of the ball. But let's just talk about everything that happened this weekend and how that helps the team going forward. So I'm Jeff Morton, and this is Bluster and Blue Jays. I don't know why I do that. I just think it's funny. So let's see what we're going to talk about today. Now, one of the big things that I've thought about for most of the offseason that a lot of people never seem to was Bo Bichette. Because all the talk was about Vlad Guerrero Jr. And I get it, the extension, but to be honest, aside from last year, if there's one guy who was more consistent through his career, it was Bo. And after the first series, I'll tell you one thing, he's back. He's already leading the league in hits with 7. His batting average, I think, is .467, so he's just below 500. It's 7 hits in a 4-game series is pretty good. He played some pretty decent defense as well. There's one shot he went into the hole to grab a ball and just wailed it over to Guerrero, and he had the arm strength for it. So I think, let's say this is his coming out season. This is going to be his showing the world that he's back kind of thing. He's going to command a hell of a contract. So you kind of wonder, can you fit him and Vladdy in the same place? I don't know, because they're both going to command lots of money. I mean, Vlad's asking for $500 million for a 15-year contract. And to be honest, first basemen don't make that. There's not a lot of defense involved, so they tend to devalue the first baseman a little bit. But he is thinking that just his hitting is going to carry him, and that's fine. But eventually, is he going to end up being a $50 million a year DH? I understand how he values himself for what he's capable of doing, but he needs to think of the position instead. I think he wanted to go to third base just because he thought he'd get paid more. That's what I think. I mean, I would. If I could switch positions and be pretty decent at it and make more money just because I went to the other side of the diamond, yeah, I'd do the same thing. But that being said, Guerrero started out all right. I think he's hitting like 264. He's hit some power. He's got himself going in a few different ways. I think he's all right. His at-bats have been pretty good. He's been good, getting good barrel. And I've noticed that with a lot of the guys. Now, I don't know if this is a Dave Popkins thing, but they seem to be barreling the ball a lot better. Even when they're getting their outs, they're hitting them hard. And that goes for everybody, right from the top to the bottom of the lineup. And it brings up one person that I thought is rather interesting so far, who is, I think he's leading our team in home runs, was Andres Gimenez. Now, we know we got him for his defense, and we know he did hit a few years ago when he was in the MVP vote. I think he was like 8th in 2021. In the last couple seasons, he hasn't done so well, but man, he's hitting the crap off the cover of the ball right now. And I believe like his OPS is like 1.2. I know it's only 4 games, but that's a pretty good shot and 2 home runs already. I mean, there's some people who think that this is just a fluke. This gentleman, part of Ball Cap Sports, who thinks that it's just he's going to go downhill from here. But you know what? I think he's coming back to what he was and what he's capable of. The guy's only 26 years old. I don't know how you can write off a guy's bat at 26. I just don't. Maybe he needed a different environment. Maybe this is the environment that he needs to take that next step to be a consistently better player. So far, so good. I mean, I was a little hesitant that he's hitting cleanup, but hey, he's proven himself so far. Personally, I think what they do is if he really starts hitting and getting on base the way he's capable of, I think they put him at leadoff because he's very capable of stealing 30 bases a season easily and just bump everybody down a spot. Put Santander in 4th and Guerrero at 3rd and Bichette at 2nd. I think that's where they should go. I think that's what will eventually happen if they want to do the running game. And because, they have some power, but they're not a power hitting team. They definitely have to create runs. And they did that in the second game when they won, they created a lot of their runs, a lot of hits, hit by pitches, good base running, that kind of thing. And that's how they're going to win. We do have power, thank goodness, with Santander and Guerrero. I think you're going to get it. Like I said, more out of Gimenez. I think Rodon's going to have a bit of power to him as well. Lucas has got power to him. These guys all have capabilities. So we have a pretty balanced team that way. The takeaway is we hit okay. We did all right for the first part, but this leads to another weird thing, because if we didn't have this guy on the roster, maybe we might have won 3. There may be a possibility would have come back, and that's the Richard Lovelady. I know a lot of people, myself included, were kind of upset that he was kept and Ryan Yarbrough was let go. Now, I don't know whether they thought because Yarbrough came in late that he wasn't ready to start the season, and that's why they wanted him to go to AAA. If maybe that was the reason. And that's a fair enough assessment. He came in, I think, 3 weeks into spring training already, or maybe a month into it. So maybe that was part of it. But for $2 million that he signed with the Yankees for him, he had that opt-out clause. When he exercised that opt-out clause, did they really think that Lovelady and Little were going to be better than Yarbrough? I mean, he pitched great for us last year, and he is definitely a different look because he is just all about pitching as opposed to throwing. But his career ERA is about 4.20, so he has had some problems, and we again don't have a lot of swing and miss in our bullpen. We have a lot of good pitchers. Like even Jeff Hoffman, he can throw it, but he's a pitcher because he came up as a starter, so he has a few more pitches to throw. But Gimme Garcia can strike out some guys. Chad Green can strike out some guys. Nick Sandlin, they all have capabilities of it, but they're not strikeout pitchers. And I think the reason they kept Lovelady and Little more so was that they had more velocity, and therefore they think they have a better chance of getting the strikeouts they need. That's the only thing that makes any sense to me, because I'd rather have taken the veteran who pitched well for us as opposed to the guy who came in at the last minute, has pitched for a bunch of different teams, and hasn't really stuck with any of them. If you're a reliever and you're not sticking with teams, that doesn't say much about you, does it? And in this case, I think it was an egregious error. And he's now been designated for assignment. And I guarantee you there ain't going to be one team in the majors who's going to pick him up and put him on their roster. Not after a couple hit batters and walks and all that other stuff. No, he's not. It's just not going to happen. So, what else with the pitching? Well, Barrios had a bad game. We tend to have bad games for our home openers anyway. It's any of those celebratory games like Canada Day or opening day or anything like that. We seem to just do poorly. I don't know whether it's the extra attention, but we never really do well. We're not a great opening day team. We just never have been for the entire length of the team. It just hasn't been a thing. But it is what it is. It's one game. So Barrios, we always know he's always I wouldn't call him streaky per se. He's consistent more or less, but he will give up, a few duds as he goes through, which is why he's not really a number one, but we laid him out as one. Now, Gausman came back and pitched a wicked game, had a fantastic game, and so did Bassett. He had a fantastic game. I would have still considered Gausman as our number one, regardless. I really don't understand why Barrios was put in first. I just don't. Gausman had a great spring. They all had great springs, but Gausman's a 1. Barrios has never been 1. He's always been a 2 or a 3. I see him as a 3. So, yay. And then we have the Max Scherzer game, which he pitched pretty well until he got hurt. Now we talk about the thumb. Now he says it causes problems all the way up through here and can get up into his shoulder and down into his side. Like, just by gripping this the wrong way causes a chain reaction through his entire body. So he was having lat issues, and that's why he got pulled. It wasn't because of his thumb. It was just the consequence of having to adjust to playing with a thumb that's not doing him so hot. And it's been like this for a year or so. So here comes the question. Was he worth $15 million a year to sign? A lot of people are already crapping all over the fact that he had a bad, this is terrible. Why do we $15 million wasted? Because again, we have the worst fans in goddamn baseball. We have the worst fans in baseball. All they do is complain. I go on these Blue Jay fan pages, and it's never, if somebody says something nice or something good about the team, someone comes along and just crap all over it. Toronto fans are fucking horrible. They just are. Not all, but quite a decent chunk of them are just miserable sods who don't know how to see the positive in anything. And after 2-2 against Baltimore, I think that's a good reason to be positive, considering everybody seems to think they're going to finish 4th or 5th in their division. But I think we have the pitching. I don't think the others do. So, if you look at it, maybe Boston. The only team I can see right now that could run away with this is Boston, because they've now got the hitting to keep up with the better pitching, although they have a crap bullpen. I mean, if you've got Liam Hendricks and Aroldis Chapman as your back two, doesn't say much for you, does it? But getting back to Scherzer. Now, even if he doesn't pitch 20 games, which is what I was kind of guessing he might do, 17 to 20 starts, maybe 5 or 6 innings each, have Rodriguez, piggyback him or something like that. But honestly, even if he doesn't pitch, I think just having him here is worth $15 million because of all the experience he has. He has a winning attitude. We have him for a reason. There's a reason we brought him here. And it's not just because we think he can still pitch, which we do think he can still pitch. And spring training showed he could. The first start showed that he does still know how to pitch. But there's the problem. Like, what do you do about this? Like, I don't know how you fix that. He's just 41 and old. That's fine. But if he can help all of our other starters and relievers be better, it's amazing. He was saying in an interview with Hazel May that he's noticed that some of the pitchers are still afraid to approach him because they all hear he's just such this he's focused. He's got grit and determination. He's a determined fella. But he said he's a joker. He likes to crack jokes. He's a funny dude. He called himself a funny dude. Which, you know what? If you call yourself a funny dude, that might not be the funny dude. But that being said, he's just a normal guy. And he's looking forward to guys actually coming to talk to him normally, and so he can share that wisdom. He's all for it. That's part of the reason why he said he's here. He wants to impart the wisdom he has on an organization he thinks that can win. If Max Scherzer signs here, he thinks the team can win. He's not going to sign for a non-contending team for probably his last contract. So he sees something, and maybe him and Pete Walker can work some magic, and we can get our bullpen back where it needs to be. And our pitching still isn't that bad. Honestly, if we can keep up the hitting and we can get ourselves in a position by the trade deadline, maybe we'll trade for a hitter. Who knows? So I think even $50 million, if he doesn't pitch another game, I think it's honestly still worth it if he can get us 4 or 5 more wins just because of the wisdom that he imparts on people. So now the kids. No, Wagner and Roden, I put them in because they're the ones that have been playing the most this weekend. Now Wagner's come out with a 308 average. Roden's a 200 average. So, kind of what you expected. Wagner proved last season he could hit. Lucas proved last season he could hit. He just hasn't played as much yet. And Roden, well, he just got up to the majors. He's making his adjustments. If he's hitting 200, that's cool, man. His defense has been good. He's a great guy in the clubhouse. He has good at bats still. And that's something you can't take away from our guy. If he can still have good at bats. As long as you're going to have good at bats, you're going to be fine. Now, the third guy on this list ain't a kid. And he's surprised a lot of people so far. That would be Mr. George Springer. Now, again, myself included, there are many of us who thought that his time is done. He just didn't have it anymore. It took him months and months last season to get started. He did not too bad once he got there, but it took him a while to get there. And it's going to take you a while to get there. You're getting old. But it ain't taking a while this time. 364 average, 917 OPS. He almost hit a home run the other day off the top of the crazy wall that we got out there now. Who knows? His defense has been, as usual, stellar. So what does that mean? Man, if it means that Springer can sustain this for the season, he'll have his slumps and stuff like that. But if he can be more or less what he's been in the past, that is huge for us, especially with him batting down in the order a little bit more, because that lengthens your batting order more. Like if Springer's hitting and you throw him at the top and group all your 5 guys at the top, that's okay. But it really takes away from the bottom. So if you got some guys down there who can actually drive in, Kirk or Gimenez after they've got on base, there you go. That's perfect. You get Springer at 6 or 7, and you got the guys at the bottom who are pretty decent on base guys, usually the kids, and that brings them around to both. It's it can be a pretty good lineup if Springer's there, because he just lengthens it that much more. And if he's not, then you just got to bench him, make him a bench guy, and that's fine. So, how do we evaluate that first series of the season? I think it's a win. I mean, our bullpen definitely has sprung a few leaks for sure, and that is going to be a focus probably going forward. But we've shown we can hit. Of course, some guys aren't. Kirk hasn't hit yet, but again, it's 4 games. I'm not going to read a lot into 4 games. Not like all these other people who think Scherzer's useless and Santander made an error, so he's a terrible player. People just need to, again, look at the long term. 162, not 1. You win 60, you lose 60. It's what you do with the rest of those games that determines who's going to win. That's pretty much how it goes. So you need to keep that in mind and don't freak out every time you lose, especially at the beginning of the season when you're still kind of putting things together. I know people say, well, you can't say that because all those games are worth something. Every game is worth it. It is true. But to be honest, I'd rather be a stumble bum right around now than be a stumble bum in September. I'd rather be building towards and then finishing well. Because whoever finishes well are usually the ones that do better in the playoffs. It isn't always about the number one team. The number one team rarely wins. We've had wildcard teams win it. Why? Because they were playing the best baseball in September and October, and that's what you want. As long as you get there and you're playing your best ball, you are probably going to win. That's simple. I don't know why people have to freak out after 4 games. I mean, honestly, I think a lot of us thought they'd get swept. I didn't, because Baltimore's pitching, their starting pitching suspect. Their bullpen has a few holes, as it showed. Having Felix Bautista back is going to help the back end of their bullpen, don't get me wrong. But they have pitching issues. Zach Eflin is your number 1. Kyle Gibson's your 5. Charlie Morton's your 2. Like, that's like, that's putting Scherzer at 2. And Scherzer's not a 2. He's a 4, maybe a 5. So their pitching is very suspect right now. And even the guys who they're entrusting so far, they've been kind of iffy. Their bullpen has definitely been iffy. So that bodes well for us. And I'm going to focus most on the East. I'll look at another few things around baseball that have happened. The big one, I guess, is when we go to the Yankees, when they just decimated Milwaukee the other day with 20 runs, 9 home runs in a game, which is still not the record because the 1987 Toronto Blue Jays have that record of 10. Let me see if I remember correctly. It was Ernie Witt with 3, Rand Smolniks with 2, Ducey had 1, Fred McGriff had 1. Man, I can't remember. You should know all of them. I'm getting old there, folks. But yeah, that's a record that's been held since 1987. 87. Almost 40 years. Yankees came close with those new torpedo bats. And now the big thing is, are they legal? By definition of the Major League Baseball rules, they are. The rules have a maximum width that the barrel can be and a maximum smallness, I think, at the base as well, right? They don't have the exact numbers in front of me. But what this has done is it's taken the barrel, which is usually, here at the top, and goes down and it gets small. Let's try this way. It gets smaller. This one, it's kind of small, it gets bigger, and then smaller again. So they've moved the sweet spot of the bat down for some of these players, because what they've done is they built the bat around how the player swings as opposed to you adjusting yourself to the bat. So that's the big thing now, is we are now making the bats better for the players to take away the things that they aren't doing well, or they don't barrel up as well. Now, I get it. Tailoring bats for the players, it's not a bad idea in some respects, but honestly, I think it kind of takes away the parity a little bit. Because if we're all using the same kind of bats, we're all in the same boat, right? But if you're using a bat that's tailored to you, then that is adding a competitive advantage to yourself. It's not illegal. Like, I'm not saying they shouldn't do it, but if you're going to get these torpedo bats, I'm going to assume this will be the standard bat going forward, because now you have the technology to build them this way. But I think until everybody has access, you should have stayed with the regular bats for now. That's my opinion, because it looks bad. I mean, there's players in all the teams. Even Davis Snyder has one. Hasn't used it in the game yet. Boston apparently tried them. Ken Rosenthal mentioned that they tried them in spring training, and some of them didn't like them. I guess, it comes to the player. But I mean, if it's going to give you a distinct competitive advantage, if it's going to start seeing stats going crazy, like guys who shouldn't be hitting them, like bomb amounts of home runs, like if Jazz Chisholm Jr. ends up with a ridiculous amount of home runs at the end of April, he's hit 3 already then that might start getting people a little more worried. So for now, it is what it is. It's a torpedo bat, looks kind of cool, hits really well. It definitely adds some distance to when you're hitting because you're now able to use your more natural swing to hit the ball, and that's fine. It's like was Kevin Barker said? He goes, "Man, when I was playing, if I did put the barrel, I had it down by my hands." Yeah, well, if you're hitting it in the hands, then bring the barrel down. As long as it meets major league standards for width and height, you're fine. They've adjusted the knobs. There's all kinds of things baseball's added since I was a kid. The big mitts on your hands for when you're stealing bases, having the cards in the back of your pockets. You look at your positioning, the calling the pitches off your wrist now when you're a catcher, or if you're Chris Bassett, you call it yourself. These are good technologies designed to keep the game pace going, so that's good. I think a lot of the rules and these little changes that have been done by the players are great. Even the little protections they use, on your elbow, on your shin. Danny Jansen, because he's always got his hand broken, he now has one that covers his hand properly. That's fine. If you weren't going to protect yourself from being hit by wild pitches from guys throwing 100 miles an hour, I have no problem with that because guys throw harder than they ever have. So you should be allowed to protect yourself as such. And none of them, and if anything, they would impede your bat movement as opposed to helping it. So nothing wrong with that. The only rule change that I don't like is the runner on second starting in the 10th. I hate it. It's stupid. And the 3-batter rule is also kind of stupid. I get why they did it because, again, it's a pace thing, trying to get the games finishing faster and all that stuff. But, man, that's just, you're building the game differently. This isn't what it's supposed to be. That's not baseball. Ghost runners and only allowed to throw over twice and all that kind of crap. I think, these were things that did slow the game down, but they slowed them down that much? What slowed the game down was pitchers stepping on off the rubber, batters readjusting themselves. Nomar Garciaparra used to be my favorite because he'd always adjust his gloves, his head, did every single pitch. That's what slowed the game down. Not this other stuff. Like, I would rather go back to a little bit more of what it was like. Pitch clock, keep the pitch clock. That will keep your pace going right there. Nothing else. That's it. Pitch clock. That does exactly what you want it to do. So you've saved a half hour. You're now down 2.5 hour games, maybe some 2:45. Great. If some go 3 because you go 11, 12 innings because you don't have that runner on, better. Honestly, if you're going to put a ghost runner on, do it later on. Let them go through, put on the 13th inning. So you have 3 innings to go through. So at least 9 guys you can go to the batting order at least once. And if it still doesn't work, then maybe I would consider a ghost runner. But it's like the shootout in hockey. You don't do the shootout right after the game's over. You do the overtime first. So let's play some overtime first, and then bring in that extra guy. That's just me. So let's see. One thing I was looking at here was the scheduling of our lovely team here, and we are playing a lot of teams with above 500 records and in the AL East this April. It's pretty crazy. Let's see. Schedule. Was that March? Ridiculous. So we got the Nationals for a 2-gamer. We know that. 3 gamers starting today. Then we got the Mets, Boston, Orioles on a road trip. Then the Braves, Mariners at home. Then the Astros, Yankees on the road, and the Red Sox again at home. So the home road splits are pretty even, it seems. Well, no, there's a bit more road than home, which is great for me. That's cool. Better games later on anyway. That's fine. But these are all pretty good teams, man. Like, all of them. These are all World Series contending teams. So that right there is going to see how we do. how we compete against. If we can compete against these guys, if we can finish April with a 500 or better record after playing all these guys, then I think we got a team. If we crap the bed and we end up like 5 or 6 games under 500, that could spell the end of us right away. And that could bring some major changes even earlier than usual. But so far, so good. Let's see how we do against. Every team's got their flaws. The Mariners, lack of hitting. The Mets, they've lost a couple of their key starters. They're now down into their starter depth, just like us. The Red Sox are down a couple starters, and their bullpen is kind of suspect. The Orioles, again, not the strongest starting rotation, and their bullpen is suspect. This is all I'm noticing, pitching stuff. The Yankees, they lost their top 2 starters for a while. Their bullpen's not too bad. I mean, Devin Williams is their closer, so yeah. But the Astros, again, great starting pitching. Their hitting might be a little bit suspect now because they've lost a lot of guys. But who knows? It's just one of those things. Every team has their thing, and you have to figure out how to fix it and how to get through it. No team is going to be perfect. Even the Dodgers are not going to be perfect. Even their bullpen is a little bit dicey. You know, you're not 100% sure what's going on. They don't even have a set closer. Tanner Scott maybe will probably be their closer, but Blake Trinan closed the other day. So maybe they don't even know. Teams in April are still figuring a lot of stuff out with what they've got with their expanded rosters. We'll see how they go. Hence Richard Lovelady being sent down. So, the next week, let's see, 3 against the Nationals and 3 against the Mets. I want to call a 4-2 for us because these will be 2-4. Washington is going to be a better team than people give them credit for. There's a lot of really good kids coming up now. Mackenzie Gore struck up 17 the other day as a pitcher. But guys like James Woods and Dylan Cruz, these are guys who are going to be in the majors for a while, and they could help Washington take the next step forward. So, and with the Mets, well, they're just going to hit the crap out of the ball. We got Lindor, Vientos, Alonso, Soto. Those guys alone can carry a team. So we'll see how they do. I'm hoping their lack of pitching might help us a little bit here. That's what I'm calling for 4-2. Because I kind of see 2-1 with the Nationals and 2-1 with the Mets. I don't think we're going to sweep either of them. Be nice, but I don't think it's going to happen. And then off to Beantown. So, that being said, let's see. Let me get myself back in order here. Still learning my little studio stuff. Yeah, there I am in reverse. Gotta love being in reverse. It's a little strange. And that's where I'm just going to wrap it up for today. So, going forward, Bo's off to a great start. Vlad's doing okay. Our starting pitching's been up and down. Bowden Francis, let's see how he does. I really think he's going to make strides this year and become a nice, solid addition. And that's going to make that trade for Rowdy Tellez even better. Trevor Richards and Bowden Francis for Rowdy Tellez, who's now with the 3rd team after the Milwaukee Brewers. We won. So, that being said, thank you all for tuning in. It's been Bluster and Blue Jays. You can catch me on YouTube. If you're watching here, you can like and subscribe at the bottom. Please watch to the end. Help my algorithms. It's the big word, algorithms. You must help my algorithms. And if you're listening to me on Spotify, please make a comment or like. And I'm trying to get us up on Apple as well. But for now, please focus on my YouTube channel. That's where I want most of my people to go to, and is the #1 podcast platform in the world, apparently. So let's get me moving up there. I want to be up there with those Blue Jay Today's guys, deep left field, the walk-off, gate 14. Let's get us up there with those guys. And I'm looking forward to having some of them on here as well, do some interviews with some of the other guys around here who take care of letting you know about the Blue Jays when they're not mainstream media types, and maybe even some mainstream media types. But I'm going to get some on here one of these days. Until then, you're just going to hear me talking about the week that was. That's the week that was. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it again. Bluster and Blue Jays, have yourself a fantastic day.